here is the Writer's Almanac for Sunday, the 27th of December, 2020. It's the birthday of the astronomer who was the first to discover that planets move around the sun in an elliptical path, and that was Johannes Kepler, born in Württemberg, Germany, on this date in 1571. It was on this day, 1831, Charles Darwin set sail from England on the HMS Beagle to tour the Galapagos Islands and South America. He was amazed by the plants and animals that he found. He came back to England. He thought about what he had seen, and he developed his theory of evolution. In his book On the Origin of Species, Charles Darwin wrote, "Probably all organic beings which have ever lived on this earth have descended from some one primordial form into which life was first breathed. There is grandeur in this view of life, that from so simple a beginning, endless forms, most beautiful and most wonderful, have been and are being evolved." It's the birthday of the novelist Wilfred Sheed, London, 1930, wrote about his love of baseball in My Life as a Fan, wrote about alcoholism in his book In Love with Daylight. Wilfred Sheed, who said the American male doesn't mature until he has exhausted all other possibilities. And it's the birthday of Sarah Vowell, the essayist, journalist. Sarah Vowell, who said, "Being a nerd, which is to say going too far and caring too much about a subject, is the best way to make friends that I know." And it was on this day in 1978 Spain became a democracy after 40 years of fascist dictatorship under Generalissimo Francisco Franco, going back to the Spanish Civil War in 1939. Franco had lingered near death for months, finally died 1975. Under his rule, Spain had been a one-party state with concentration camps, forced labor, executions as a means of political repression. Franco had picked his own successor, Juan Carlos de Bourbon, the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of the French King Louis XIV, the son of the last sitting Spanish king, who Franco assumed would continue the authoritarian regime, but instead Juan Carlos began to dismantle the fascist government. The country held its first open and free elections in 1977. He granted amnesty to political prisoners, and in 1978 he signed into law the Spanish Constitution. Here's a poem for today by Sue Ellen Thompson, Leaning In. Sometimes in the middle of a crowded store on a Saturday afternoon, my husband will rest his hand on my neck or on the soft flesh belted at my waist and pull me to him. I understand his question. Why are we so fortunate when all around us friends are falling prey to divorce and illness? It seems intemperate to celebrate in a more conspicuous way. So we just stand there, leaning into one another, until that moment of sheer blessedness dissolves and our skin, which has been touching, cools and relents, settling back into our separate skeletons as we head toward housewares to resume our errands. Leaning In, a poem by Sue Ellen Thompson from The Golden Hour, published by Autumn House Press and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac, funded by donations from listeners like you, now available on PRX for distribution by your local radio station. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.